All right, Pickle. We are T-minus 4 days until the biggest FBS college football game in Texas since 2010. And that is not really up for debate, considering it's the first time since the Texas Longhorns lost to Alabama in the 2010 BCS National Championship, I should say, that we have a Texas team in the National Championship game, as the TCU Horned Frogs will take on the number one team in the land, the defending, reigning, undisputed national champion, the undefeated Georgia Bulldogs. And I think that we, because of the space that we occupy, where we do cover 47, soon to be 48 college football teams across the state, in addition to all the high school football teams, we have a big mix of people who of different rooting interests. And so I'm here to tell you that if you have not paid a ton of attention to TCU until very, very, very recently, like Big 12 championship game recently or even after, it's okay. You are allowed to hop on the bandwagon right now.
Oh, yeah.
I am giving you permission to hop on the bandwagon and get on board and cheer for the Frogs.
I was going to say, I think that the TCU fan base is open, is one of the fan bases that's very open to bandwagon jumpers.
Yeah. I think
there are some that would glare,
yes.
but TCU people are friendly.
Yeah, I think so. So hop on board the bandwagon. And as a result, you may want to spend your weekend, I don't want to tell you how to spend your weekend, but you may want to spend your weekend kind of getting up to speed on what makes these Frogs
a little bit of studying
tick, what they are all
Throat.
about. And so, thankfully, our college editor, Ishmael Johnson, and our college insider, Mike Craven, have compiled on TexasFootball.com a big Horned Frogs hub where basically you can go through and read almost everything that Mike Craven has written about TCU over the course of the season, and especially over the course of this college football postseason run, right? It's called From Fort Worth to Los Angeles. You can find it on TexasFootball.com. It's on the front page. And so I want to direct you to a couple of pieces that I think are particularly interesting. One of them is a podcast, so if you're in the listening form, I want you to listen to the latest episode of Republic of Football. The Republic of Football is episode 248. They have a complete and total stem to stern, rooter to tutor, eat the whole hog preview of the national championship game.
We went through all of that to get to the word
I was trying to
preview.
think of another way to describe it. A comprehensive preview of the college football playoff national championship game between TCU and Georgia. The Republic of Football, our college football podcast, Ishmael Johnson, Mike Craven, and Mallory Hartley break down the TCU Georgia game in a big way. So I want you to go check that out. I also want you to go check out another story that that Craven wrote, I want to say back in October, and it's about Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston is, of course, the star wide receiver for TCU, and he wrote it really when the hype train was starting to get going. I don't know when Quentin Johnston really broke onto the scene. I think the game that really caught everybody's eye was when they beat Kansas, because he had an insane game against Kansas. Yeah. He had 2 or 3 catches that were like shocking, and I think that's when everybody kind of woke up and was like, "Oh man, this Quentin Johnston guy's pretty darn good." That, to me, is really when people started paying attention. So if you go back at the headline is Quentin Johnston shunned spotlight in favor of team success. And it's just basically a feature on Quentin Johnston, who, of course, is a Temple product, and how he got to this point. So I hope you will go and read that article from them. It was back
which
in
is
October.
cool for Texas high school football fans, too.
Yes, exactly right. So it's got that kind of crossover between then and now. More recently, specifically today, Craven posted a story about TCU defensive coordinator Joe Gillespie. Joe Gillespie, and it kind of talks about we've talked about this before, they run a bit of not an odd scheme, because other teams do use it, but certainly a scheme that is not the norm in college football. They run the 3-3-5, or in many respects kind of closer to a 3-2-6, in the sense 3 down linemen, 3 or 2 linebackers, and then 5 to 6 defensive backs. So they load up on that. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand the advantages and disadvantages of that. You're going to have less beef, but you're going to have more speed. But the story that Craven wrote today is about Joe Gillespie and how his high school football roots really helped to shape him into the defensive mind that he is, because Joe Gillespie was a guy who, was at Stephenville for a while. He was a guy who has that career at the high school level. He was the head coach at Stephenville for 7 seasons. He won a state championship there. This is a guy who was an assistant long before then, but essentially, he credits a lot of his high school roots for making him the defensive coordinator that he is today, which is, there is certainly a level of crazy guy in a fight about TCU's defense. You never really know where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. And I think that the high school football ranks really shaped what Joe Gillespie what he's been able to accomplish. So I hope you'll go check that out. That's another piece that I think you should check out. Another one, there's a bunch of really good ones. There was a story that Craven wrote about. This was back, I believe, right before the national championship game. Back in late December, he wrote about Sonny Dykes and his relationship with his father, Spike. Of course, Spike, the former beloved head coach at Texas.
Oh, before the semifinal?
Before the semifinal.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Before the semifinal.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, before the semifinal. Of course, Spike Dykes, the late beloved head coach at Texas Tech, and in a lot, it's a really good reflection on Spike on Sonny Dykes and his relationship with his father and how his father helped to shape him. Speaking of Sonny Dykes, I do want you to go listen to what day was this? Let me look this up. But in the middle of the season, when they were hot, TCU he listened to. What was it? It was 3 months ago. October 5th. Sonny Dykes joined the boys on Republic of Football, the boys and the girl on Republic of Football. And so you can go listen to his interview there back in October. I want you to go check that out. And then finally, one other piece I want you to read. And there's a bunch of them. You can find them on our from Fort Worth to Los Angeles hub on TexasFootball.com. But one of them is about Travius Hodges Tomlinson. Mm-hmm. Travius Hodges Tomlinson, coming into the year, was a known commodity, a guy that we thought was going to be a star, and has only blossomed from there. And back in November, I believe leading into the Big 12 championship game, Craven sat down with Travius Hodges Tomlinson and wrote this story about his past. He's the nephew of LaDainian Tomlinson. Mm-hmm. He's a Thorpe Award, I believe he was a Thorpe Award winner. And this is a guy who kind of talks about his relationship with his uncle, LaDainian, but also just about carving his own path. Mm-hmm. If you want to look for a real star on this TCU defense, Travius Hodges Tomlinson is that guy. And so I hope you'll go read that and go check out the entire hub page that we've put together there. It's called From Fort Worth to Los Angeles on TexasFootball.com. We've got a lot of great pieces kind of over the course of the season, kind of charting TCU's path. There's a great piece on Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator, who's a former Muleshoe guy. This, that, and the other. So we hope you'll check that out there at TexasFootball.com. It's called From Fort Worth to Dallas, or Fort Worth to Los Angeles, rather. Fort Worth to Dallas wouldn't be a very long trip. Fort Worth to Los Angeles, our TCU National Championship hub page. And of course, we'll have a big old preview of the title game coming up on Monday.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.